I can go back to this. Now I'm back on live on YouTube again. Speaking of which, get on there. Let me share that real quick. I wonder if I can share that on... Oh, I can. I can share that on Facebook. It's always weird. Okay, I can tag friends. Nate. Monty. Even though he's not in here. Oh.
Monty, disappointed.
Right.
That's all right. When them sponsor checks start coming in, we'll remember this, Monty.
That's funny.
We're taking attendance, homie.
All right. Now I'm going to play the music again. Because I think I exited out of it. No, I didn't. It's right there.
It's the Dave Cat Podcast. The Dave Cat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Dave Cat Podcast. I am your host, David Reed, and I'm joined in today with the crew, except Montarius Clement. Hopefully he'll be in later on tonight. He said he might try to join in, but you never know with him. That guy, he never even tweets out. I don't know what's going on. He just only sometimes tweets out, and now he's not joining the show. So we'll see what's going on later on. But joined in today with Seth. He is on Twitter at SethReed620. Hey, did I get that right? Did I get that?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
Yes, sir.
At Seth3620, also joined in with Rick Reed. He is the Bears fan. He's going to coverage on the NFC North today with the Bears. I'm also joined in with Nate Durant. He's a Ravens fan. He's going to have our coverage with the Ravens. And then later on today, I should have another gentleman on that's going to help cover the Vikings. We're going to see how that goes going forward. But welcome back. We had a lot of news since last week. We covered the Super Bowl. So go ahead and check out that episode. And please subscribe on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube. We are up to 27 followers and subscribers on the YouTube. I want to get to over 30. If I can get to over 30, that would be really nice. Someone's got me on Echo or on the speakerphone. It looks like I got it taken care of. All right, we're good. Today's episode, we're going to discuss that big Carson Wentz trade that happened with the Indianapolis Colts involving Philadelphia Eagles as well. We thought some players could be involved. It seems like that is not the case. And we're also going to talk about the NFL cap. It looks like it's getting set. We're getting closer to that exact number, and then we'll know how many players are going to start getting released and start getting traded due to those cap numbers being lower and all these contracts getting signed before the season at high numbers, not realizing that the cap was going to go down because no one knew that COVID was going to hit. So we're going to talk about the cap a little bit, and then we're also going to talk about the AFC North and the NFC North. So we got a packed show, and we're going to dive right into it. And like I said, with that Carson Wentz trade, Indianapolis Colts are agreeing with the Philadelphia Eagles to acquire Carson Wentz for a 2021 third-round draft pick. That's this year. They're going to have a third-round draft pick and a conditional 2022 second-round draft pick that could be a first-round draft pick if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the Colts' offensive snaps this coming season. That's a lot to ask because Carson Wentz has not been healthy this whole year. So that's one thing that a lot of people looked at when they looked at this deal, that the Colts didn't give up a first-round pick, but could if Carson Wentz finally is healthy the whole season. That's all. It doesn't say anything about stats. It's more or less just he has to play. And if he's good enough, he has to be good enough to continue to play. So there's that. 75%, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think Carson Wentz can hit that number. I think he has a chance to play all 16 games. He does have the best line in the NFL playing in front of him. He's going to have a little bit better weapons as of right now. And with all the cap room that the Indianapolis Colts have, all they really have to concentrate, in my opinion, is a wide receiver. They have everything else. They have the running game. They have the best offensive line. They have that ferocious defense with linebackers galore. They're really, really stout on that defense, and special teams is good as well. All they really need is that wide receiver one. They need that playmaker. And with all the wide receivers hitting the free agency market and the draft this year, they can attend to that real easily now that they have their quarterback of the future potentially, and they have that running game and Jonathan Taylor with that offensive line and Quentin Nelson. I really think that this team has a lot of I think they're a playoff team automatically because they were last year. But now I think Carson Wentz, if he's healthy, with that line and with the potential of more weapons to come, I think that's worth another win, getting to the divisional round and even possibly the AFC Championship coming up season to rival the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think Wentz is that good. It's more or less of he can be on that team and take them to greater lengths like Sanchez did with the Jets. I think as long as he plays game manager and then he's going to be asked to do more than that at times, but not all the time. That was the problem with Philadelphia. With no weapons, the offensive line was not that good. They were asking him to do too much all the time, and that's what led to a lot of the turnovers and turmoil in Philadelphia when it came to Carson Wentz. They signed the guy $148 million, and he didn't live up to the potential just after one season, but you can only blame what was around him and how he performed as well. He kind of regressed. The talent around him regressed. There's no more excuses. There's no more excuses.
Kind of regressed. He really regressed. But like you said, that was one of the worst offensive lines in football. I mean, I don't think he played a whole season ever since he signed that contract. I'm almost positive he hasn't. He's been getting hit a long time and been getting hit hard. Now, like you said, for all those going to the Colts, I think it was a really good trade for the Colts. I mean, hey, you know what? You gave up a third-round pick for sure. Second, maybe a first, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be a first. I think he's going to play 75% of the snaps. I truly feel that. Behind that line, with that running game, like you said, they're not going to ask him to do as much as he was asked to do in Philadelphia. Defense is way better. He won't be on the field as much. With all that being said, I think it was a great move for the Colts. I mean, they give up 2 draft picks, and they could have a guy that could, like you said, lead into the AFC Championship, possibly a Super Bowl. I mean, I think
he was almost MVP, so let's not leave that out.
I think the second and the third is exactly what he's worth now. I think they gave exactly what he's worth. You know, and now the Eagles, listen to this. The Eagles have like 4 of the 4 draft picks in the top 100 coming up this year. They need to draft good, man, because look, the way it's set up now, 4 picks in the first 100 picks of a draft, that's a huge thing, Dave. We all know that. You just have to make those picks count. You have to draft smart, man, because you can't just go in there, you know, oh, we need a quarterback. You got to figure this shit out before the draft, and you got to make those 4 draft picks count.
Right. No, exactly. You're exactly right. Rick, when you're looking at this team, do you see it how I see it? That they have the potential to go and make a deep playoff run as long as Carson Wentz stays upright and they go after that number one weapon. Like I said, Allen Robinson's out there. There's other wide receivers in the draft out there. What do you see when you see this move and then Colts acquiring Carson Wentz?
I think it's a very solid move. As you guys mentioned, the offensive line is 100% better. That's probably the best offensive line in football. They actually have 2-headed running backs, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy who got hurt last year, but he was a monster the year before. So they have a 1-2 punch at running back. The tight end's not too bad.
You're thinking of Marlon Mack.
Yeah, Marlon Mack. I mean, he had a solid year the year before.
Oh, he was going off this year until he got hurt.
So what I'm saying is you add those 2 together, you got a 2-headed monster. You get, I mean, I don't know if Hilton has anything left in the tank, but if you get an A receiver, I think they're primed to make a Super Bowl run. Absolutely.
I don't think T.Y. Hilton is still a number 1 receiver.
No, I'm not saying that, but he can be a good complementary receiver.
Listen, no, you're right. That's what I'm saying. He was a legit number 1 receiver, I believe, with Andrew Luck. Last year, he didn't do nothing for the first 9-10 weeks.
Look at the last 4 to 5 games.
Yeah,
that's when you
the
really
last month of the season when he finally started linking up with Rivers and they started getting some chemistry going, a little rapport built. He turned it on really good at the end of the season last year. And he, like you said, free agents, like Dave said, they get Allen Robinson and T.Y. Hilton.
There's plenty of wide receivers they can get.
Agents coming out.
Ton. Juju Smith-Schuster's an option. I wouldn't overpay for him. I'm going to let the Raiders do that from what I'm hearing and what I'm reading from Adam Schefter and company. I'm going to let them go ahead and do that. But I would love some Allen Robinson or some Curtis Samuel. If you can get both of them, especially, just go all out. They have 3rd or 4th most in the cap. If you just go out and get those receivers, maybe even pick up a tight end somehow to go. I mean, if you get Zach Ertz, oh my gosh.
And don't forget, J.J. Watt's going to be out there too. So
just think about how good Allen Robinson's been with horrible quarterbacks. You just imagine if he had a subpar, an above-average quarterback, and maybe another good receiver on the opposite side of him, man. He could do some real damage.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Allen Robinson, like you said. Even when he was with Jacksonville,
Yeah.
He had a horrible
Bortles.
quarterback.
He had
Horrible
Bortles.
quarterback.
No, I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. And like I said, there's teams out there, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jets. They had deep playoff runs with average quarterback play, and some would say below average quarterback play. So that's what I'm saying. And Carson Wentz was an MVP frontrunner. No one ever thought Blake Bortles or Mark Sanchez was, or even close to an MVP conversation. You've got to be kidding me. Yes, he regressed last year, but let's not pretend like the offensive line didn't take a dip in talent and the wide receivers turned into stone hands. They just had stone. They're dropping everything left and right. It's going to be great to see when Parrish Campbell and Michael Pittman and then Allen Robinson and Zach Ertz are running around catching the balls left and right, and then that defense is getting the ball right back to them immediately. Frank Reich did it before. He can do it again. I think that he can be a top 12 quarterback immediately with the potential to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's a stretch, but you got to understand that there's potential for them to get weapons. And once they get those weapons, they're smart enough to get the quarterback. And they're smart enough to know that they're over the cap or they're under the cap by a lot. They're going to be smart enough to go after wide receivers.
I think you and Seth brought up great points, too. That defense is going to keep him fresh. He's not going to be on the field running for his life every single play like he was in Philadelphia the last 2 years.
Dude, he's been getting hit probably, man, I don't know too many quarterbacks getting hit like
65 times he got sacked last year. 65. And he only played, 14 games?
He's taking a beating, dude.
Yeah, he did. And that's what I'm saying. He's going to the best offensive line. So right now, Carson Wentz, no more excuses. We want to see it. This is it. You're not getting another big contract if you cannot make it work in this organization with the talent that you're going to have around you in the future coming up soon and having the best offensive line in the game right there for you. No more excuses. I don't want to hear any more excuses. Carson Wentz can go out there and show his talent and be the quarterback that everyone thought he could be. We're going to see how that happens. With the NFL cap, it is at $198.7 million, and it's going to have no lower of a floor than $180 million announced by the NFL yesterday. So now that gives NFL teams a solid floor that it will not go lower than $180 million, which means, at the very worst, each NFL team is going to lose $18.5 million in cap, which goes ahead, that equates to a elite player, 2 very good players, and a handful of starters to role players. And that's a big difference in building depth for the Super Bowl. You saw Kansas City when they got to the Super Bowl and they lost their starting left and right tackle. They didn't have depth at that position good enough to make up for that. And Tampa Bay's defense went crazy. Could I say they went buck crazy? Could I? Maybe. No, but seriously though, they were all over the place because they didn't have depth at that position. If they had more cap or they spent it better, maybe they could have had depth there and they could have done better against the pass rush, and Patrick Mahomes would have had more time to throw the ball and make plays, even though he was not really getting helped out by his receivers. But that's a different story. The point is, a lot of teams are going to be scrambling. They're going to be cutting and releasing and trading players because their cap is going to be too high. You've heard the term cap casualty before. There's going to be more than your average cap casualty every single year. Typically, almost every team has one where they're going to get rid of that player because they're not as good as they're getting paid and their cap hits too high and they can cut them for no penalty. So they are called a cap casualty. They get cut and there's no penalty and bye. Sorry, you're not on a roster anymore. You're not getting that paycheck that you thought you were going to get. There's going to be more of that this coming season because they're losing cap. Now, a lot of experts within the NFL or in all the organizations around the league, they believe it's going to fall in between the 180 and 185 range. It's not going to go anywhere above $185 million. My prediction, uneducated guess, is going to be 184.3 or 184.7. I think it's going to be closer to the 185 mark, which still is going to put around $13.5 million per team and loss of cap. And there's already a lot of teams that are over the cap. You had the New Orleans Saints. That's why Drew Brees renegotiated his contract. He went from $25+ million down to $1 million. Re-signed the contract so that when he retires, they only take a $1 million hit, not a $25+ million hit. They understand the cap. They're not stupid. He did them a favor. They did him a favor. Bada bing, bada boom. That's just how the NFL works. You can do that.
Yeah, you're right. Real quick, we talked about the Colts and Wentz, but we didn't talk about the Eagles. And like I was mentioning earlier, I think this was a great move for them. The worst thing the Eagles have to do now is they have to eat, like, I think, is it 35 million this year in dead cap for Wentz? Is it 30? What is it, Dave? 31
33.
33. Okay, so I knew it was in between. So I was right in the middle, 33. So they got to eat the 33 million, and that sucks. But you know what? They just got rid of that huge contract. And like I said, they have 4 picks in the first 100 in this year's draft. I can't stress enough. I think that's really big.
It is.
I mean, 4 top 100 picks. You got to make them work, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you got to draft good. I don't know. I think it was a very smart trade for them.
Who do you think won the trade?
I think the Eagles did.
You think the Eagles did?
Honestly, I think it was a draw, dude.
They're not getting a second or a first this year for a franchise quarterback.
I think it was a draw. The Eagles did not want him anymore, and dude, that contract was going to kill them. They got a second-round pick, or they got a third-round pick, excuse me, and they're going to get if Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt, they're most likely going to get a first-round pick. So that's not bad, dude. And they lost that contract. I think it's even. I really do.
Right.
What about you, Dad?
I want to take a break real quick before we get to that, and I want to mention that this show is sponsored for free, not paid. Sponsored by Jose Drywall and Painting. Do you live in the Central Illinois area? Are your kids putting holes in your walls because the Chicago Bears and the Bulls are bad? Well, Jose Drywall and Paint is the company for you. With over 10 years professional experience, there isn't a job too small for Jose. Message Jose for a free quote when you mention this ad. Dave Cat Podcast. Jose Drywall and Painting. Give him a message today. Now, Rick, what were you thinking? Who do you think won the trade between the Eagles and the Colts?
Honestly, I think it's pretty damn close. I mean, they both benefited in certain ways. I think short term, the Colts definitely won the trade because they can win the Super Bowl next year possibly. But long term, I think the Eagles, losing a bunch of money off their cap, getting the draft picks, I think it might even out eventually. But right now, for this year, or the coming year, I should say, I think the Colts definitely won.
Yeah, I think the Colts won too. And even if it turns into a first-round pick, I still think the Colts won. But that's just my take. Everyone else might have a different take. But that's just the Dave Cat Podcast take. But still, though, I think it's going to be interesting seeing a lot of these players get moved around this offseason. I think there's going to be a little bit more than usual because of that, and it's going to be fun to see the Jets scoop them all up and go to the playoffs next year. So
they ain't getting the playoffs unless they get Deshaun Watson, bro. You better
it's coming. I'm waiting for that breaking news every day I wake up. I'm like, is it happening? Did it happen?
Dude, the more and more I think about it, I don't think he's going to get traded, but I hope. I don't know, dude.
I think there's a chance.
Wait a minute. Speaking of that, while we're on this topic, me and you didn't talk about this week. What did you hear? What did you think about the news of McCaffrey and 3 first-round picks? Are you fucking kidding me?
So if I was Houston, I would obviously do that.
Right,
a
second.
Because then I would turn around and trade McCaffrey for two first-round picks.
If McCaffrey gets traded to the Texans and that's where he plays next year, that kills his fantasy value, dude. Oh my god!
I don't think he'd play for the Texans. I think they would trade him again because they would get more first-round picks.
I think that drops him 5th fantasy running back if he's the Texans starting. Honestly, I feel it drops him that far.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw today, but Carolina's making more moves. They're
releasing a lot of people.
Today.
Yeah,
they want him bad.
More cap space.
But here, I want to mention this real quick. What would you think if Texans got McCaffrey and then traded him to the Cardinals and then Watt signed there.
Oh, that'd be nasty. The West would be loaded, bro.
That McCaffrey
the
in a
West
dome.
Adding a back like that to the Cardinals, that'd be tough.
Yeah, with that offense.
Yeah,
I mean, you
and
saw
their
what a
defense
Chase
isn't that
Edmonds
bad
can
either.
do.
Could you imagine what that would do for Kyler Murray in the option? Oh my.
Oh yeah,
God.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I think that the Cardinals are keeping an eye out, because if the Texans do acquire Christian McCaffrey, I personally don't think they should keep him. I think they should take those 3 first-round picks, or I don't think it's gonna be 3. I think it'd be 2, and McCaffrey, get the 2, and then trade McCaffrey for another 2 first-round picks, and you're gonna get 4 to 5 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. You're rebuilding. You don't need Christian McCaffrey. You're just gonna waste him and pay him a lot of money.
That'd be such a death sentence for his career, man. That'd be such a sad thing.
Yeah. He definitely would hate. Yeah, he would hate himself. We'd have to watch a suicide watch for him, because that would be rough. Yes. Yeah, because there'd be no quarterback, and then there'd be nothing there. Everyone's gone.
Nothing.
Yeah, it'd be so bad. So that's why I think
And
that
not to mention how they treat their franchise players.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's why if I were like the Cardinals, especially the Cardinals, they're not in the same conference, I would look at that and like, bro, we'll give you 2 first-round picks right now. Not even questioning. This year or next year, you're going to have them for Christian McCaffrey. Throw in a third?
I do agree with you about the maybe only giving 2 first-round picks. I think they're putting that out there to be like, make other teams be like, oh, we can't. There's nothing we can come close to offer. It's, that. So you might as well.
If they
playing a little bit of poker, you know what I'm saying?
I still think they would trade Christian McCaffrey.
You think the Texans would? I don't know.
No, I think the Panthers would.
Oh yeah, I think they would in a second. I'm saying as far as the 3 first-round picks.
Texans have to trade him. If you get 3 first-round picks and Christian McCaffrey, you have to trade Christian McCaffrey unless you plan on turning those first-round picks into a veteran franchise quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
Man.
Aaron Rodgers and Christian McCaffrey.
Hell yeah, dude.
You still got a couple receivers there. You wouldn't have to trade all 3 of those first-round picks.
And not even that. If you had Rodgers, McCaffrey, you're gonna get someone's gonna want to come there.
You could trade maybe 2 of those first-round picks and get a second-round pick back, and Aaron Rodgers.
That's in Bill Yates article I sent you. That's who he predicted Deshaun Watson to be the starting quarterback of next year's Carolina Panthers. He had the Texans getting Fields.
How would they get Fields?
I don't know. That's what he said in the article. I posted it in our football chat.
They have then that means they have Fields falling down to 8.
Yeah, you heard all this shit about people saying the kid from BYU, they like him better than Lawrence. That's such crap, dude.
I'm really hoping that it would be amazing if they took Justin Fields 1.
I don't see that happening.
That's
dude.
not going to happen.
I'm hearing that kid from BYU, people are talking way more about him than Justin Fields. I'm hardly hearing shit about Justin Fields.
Well, the rumor is, from what I'm hearing out of Jets camp, is it's either Watson or Zach Wilson.
That's who Field Yates predicted for them was Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's one or the other. And Darnold, in my prediction, he is either going to be a Chicago Bear or he's going to be a Washington football team quarterback next year.
I've heard a lot of rumblings that he's going to come to the Bears.
He's a little bit better and bigger than that Heineke guy. So I think, and he's young. He's only 23. He's still on his rookie deal this year. So they could pick up his 5th-year option.
Only a second-round pick. It can't be worse than Trubisky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I've heard. I've heard the Bears are very interested in trying to obtain him.
It can't. Well, yeah. I mean, we can get in that when we talk about.
So real quick before we move on, we'll talk about this when we get to the Bears. We'll talk about it when we get to the Bears because we are talking about the North. I want to start off. We're gonna get divisional. Copyright. I own that music, by the way. So that beats mine. I own it. But anyways, we're gonna start off with the Cincinnati Bengals. They did go 4-11-1. They had a tie with the Eagles week 3, 23-23. Their wins came against Jacksonville, 33-25, Tennessee, 31-20, Pittsburgh 27-17, and at Houston 37-31. Sorry, Deshaun Watson. Rest in peace. Joe Burrow only played 10 games. He had a 65.3 completion percentage, 2,688 yards. He had an average throw of 6.7 yards per completion, and he averaged 283 yards a game. He had 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, was sacked 32 times in 10 games. He had a quarterback rating of 89.8 out of 53. So, when you look at Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, were you impressed? I think it remains to be seen.
I think no. He's the league's not too much. The league's not too much for him. He's going to be fine. I'm not saying.
Is he going to be good?
Yeah.
Like
I think.
Where are you projecting him to go to? Like what level?
Like so, you're saying like.
Name a quarterback that you could see
like that?
him being as good as. That's in the quarterback. Or that's a quarterback right now.
I would say like Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford.
Ooh, Matt Stafford's good.
Matt Stafford.
I know he's good, but I think Burrow. I mean, he's got a ton of weapons, man. Those receiving core for Cincinnati.
I think he's going to be better than Cousins. I think he'd be in between a Cousins and a Stafford. Maybe. I mean, he's going to be good, man. The league wasn't too much for him. I'll tell you what, though. If they don't get a fucking line, he's not going to last.
No.
Dude.
32 sacks.
I watched that game against Cleveland on Thursday night. It was like week 2 or 3. I can't remember. Dude, that was brutal. Like, I was sore the next day from watching Joe Burrow get hit so much, man. That was a bad night for him. And it ended up to him getting out for the season with a serious injury, and they got to address that immediately. That's their number one need right now. Protect this quarterback.
Right.
Absolutely. I've seen in the mock drafts that they're taking a tight end first, possibly, which makes no sense to me.
I don't know where I see them next year finishing last or second to last. I don't know if them or Pittsburgh will be last. I'd have to say,
Sample wasn't that bad. I mean, Sample for their tight end, he had 40 receptions, 349 yards. It's not as what you want to see. Only one touchdown. He only had one touchdown. So you might want to add to that. Unless, Sample's young. He can make that next step and progress. I don't think personally I would go after a tight end in the first round unless it's a game changer.
Yeah,
you need more.
Go to tackle.
Offensive line. You have to go offensive line. You're in the Jet situation.
100%.
I would not be mad if the Jets took Zach Wilson, Penei Sewell, the tackle out of Oregon, or Devonta Smith. But that just goes to show I'm serious about the line. I want that line play to be good because I want someone like Penei Sewell to jump on there, and that's what the Cincinnati Bengals need to think. They need to say, forget the rest of the positions. We need offensive line.
Yes,
now.
You have to, listen,
if you can't throw from your back, I mean,
reach a little bit if you have to.
Like I said, Joe Burrow looked good last year. His only problem was they could not protect him, dude. And if you take him number 1 overall, you have to protect that quarterback.
So, what do you do with Joe Mixon? He had 6 games this year.
Look, man, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to jump right into it. Running backs to me are a dime a dozen these days in the NFL. There's like 3 or 4 that matter, and other than that, Dave,
him and Gio Bernard had the same stats.
Right, but Mixon missed some time. I mean, like I said, you could get rid of him, dude. It's not going to hurt that team to lose him.
No, I think they need to get rid of him. Trade him for a 3rd, 4th round pick. Get him out of here. Keep rid of that salary and put exactly. Right, exactly.
Running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL these days, dude.
Right.
Like I said, there's like 3 or 4 that are
look at the Dolphins last year. Look at all the running backs they had, and every one of them produced.
Yeah, and that's not helping out. That's why I always said that rookie NFL draft picks, if they're a running back, their contract should be higher because they should be getting paid more. And instead of 4 years plus a year option, if you're a first-round pick running back, it's 3 years plus a 1 year option because your time's not as much and it's lower than every other position in the NFL.
Well, the thing is, how many running backs go number in the first round anymore?
You probably get about 3 or 4 every 2 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And like you mentioned rookie running backs. I mean, look at James Robinson. He came from Illinois State. I never even heard who this guy was until the season started. And look at the season he had.
And he went to school like 40 minutes from you.
Yeah, exactly. He went to school 40 minutes from all of us. You know, like right over in Normal and in Bloomington.
It's division what 1A or 3A?
1AA.
Double A.
And he had, look at the season he had. I mean, literally running backs are a dime a dozen.
They changed it to like FBS or something like that, and then Division 1A is like FCS or something.
Well, I know it's in the same,
I think our Vikings
same division that Wentz played in. I know that.
Right. Yeah.
But the running backs. I mean, they're like Seth's saying, they're a dime a dozen. I mean.
Yeah,
and then when you look around the league, when someone fills in for a guy, he usually has 80 yards in the touchdown.
Right, and when you look at their receiving play, they actually had good receivers in Higgins and Boyd. Right, exactly. And I feel like that they're not really pressed to go receiver early. Get that offensive line help. Maybe even draft another running back. I wouldn't. That would probably be something that I would look at doing, because if you do that, then you're setting your quarterback up for success. You already have two good wide receivers. You can sign one in free agency or get one later. This is another back-to-back years where the wide receiver depth is amazing in the draft.
Yeah.
So you can pick up wide receivers 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Go ahead and get the offensive line play. Go ahead and get rid of Mixon. Pick up another running back in the 2nd round. If you can get Etienne, or somehow, I don't think he's going to be there in the 2nd round, or if he is, he's not going to be there. It's mid-2nd round, so you got to pick them up pretty early. And then you're setting your team up for success. Then start hitting the defense, because you got to start hitting up this team, and it all starts with Joe Burrow, and it did not look for him, good for him last year. So moving on to the Cleveland Browns, they finished 3rd in the division. They went 11-5. They beat Pittsburgh 48-37 in the wild card round, and then they lost to the Chiefs 22-17 in the divisional round. Baker Mayfield had an okay year. He had 3,500 yards, not 4,000, which is what the new bar is for quarterbacks. If you're above average,
when you're on that team,
when you're a great quarterback or above to elite, 4,000 is the bar. And I feel like a lot of people feel that he is great to elite. And he's got some people do. That's why he's got all these commercials.
Right. No, I agree with you. Some people do, but he's not reached that level. I mean, he's had some giant games.
He only had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, which is a good touchdown-interception ratio.
Dude, that's a great touchdown-interception ratio. Look what he did the year before, dude.
Yeah, but is he taking the chances? Is he taking the necessary? Is he throwing the ball and taking chances like Brett Favre type of throws? Is he doing Aaron Rodgers and checking down and throwing them out of bounds?
Come on. Baker Mayfield will never be Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, on that team, in that system, like, it's perfect for him. Remember what I said on the first podcast, Dave? On the very first podcast, remember I gave you Kirk Cousins' numbers from last year with Kevin Stefanski? Remember what I said? I said if Baker Mayfield can have numbers similar to this, the Cleveland Browns will be just fine. Bro, how close were the numbers? It was almost exact, dude. Like, I mean, that was crazy that I said that and it happened. And I picked them to win that division next year, dude. They're going to trade OBJ, and they're going to get 2nd-round draft pick for him, maybe a player. They're going to get rid of him because they don't need him. Him and Baker Mayfield don't work well together. That team's on the rise, dude. They're going to get rid of OBJ. They're going to be fine.
They got to get rid of OBJ. They do. Yep.
Okay. They're going to be good, man.
So we just talked about running backs. And in this circumstances, that's what makes Baker Mayfield last year, was the 2-headed monster he had in the backfield.
Yeah,
everyone.
It's the best
on their running game.
Yeah, it's the best running back tandem in the NFL.
Absolutely. So of course you're going to be a good quarterback behind that.
Yeah, a lot of play action. He opened up the field a lot. Their offensive line's pretty good. OBJ only played 7 games. He had 23 receptions for 319 yards, so he didn't really make an impact.
And that defense is young, and they're good.
No, I agree. Yeah, so when I'm looking at this, Hunt and Chubb alone, 2,000 yards and 18 touchdowns, and that's significant, right? And
plus the receptions,
right? Exactly. And Landry And then Higgins coming through with 600 yards on 37 receptions. It's pretty good. And he had a team high, tied with team high 4 receiving touchdowns with Austin Hooper.
You wanna look at something else that is stats that's going to stand out? Is look at Landry's numbers when OB was playing and look at him after.
Yeah.
He went off once OBJ went out. I just think OBJ tries to get the ball and demands the ball all the time.
Higgins and Landry led the team in big plays, and which is 50 yards or 35 yards or more or something like that. Higgins had 12, and Landry had 11.
How many touchdowns did Nick Chubb have last year? Because didn't he miss
he had 12 touchdowns. He missed 4. He missed 4 games.
Yeah, dude. Damn, dude.
He averaged 1 full touchdown a game.
You know who honestly he reminds me of? Honestly, and I don't. Please don't knock me. I don't need don't at me on this one, people. But he's like a poor man's Derrick Henry, dude. The way he runs, Chubb's a beast, dude.
Oh, he is.
Like he just runs people over, dude. You don't got to don't move. He doesn't try to go around you. He just goes through you, dude.
Right.
And then he keeps going. I love the way he runs, dude.
No, yeah, exactly. So when you're looking at the Browns team, they got to get rid of OBJ. The defense are there. They're a playoff team. They won a playoff game. They went to the second round. They gave the Chiefs a little bit of trouble.
Here, I think they're going to be better than Baltimore, and I think Pittsburgh's on the decline just because of Roethlisberger. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm picking Cleveland to win the division.
I think Cleveland wins the division also and goes to at least the AFC.
Whoa. Let's see what happens in the offseason. Let's see what happens. Maybe the Steelers get Deshaun Watson. You never know.
Dude.
If the Steelers get Deshaun Watson, they're winning the division.
No, it's over. It's a Steelers with those receivers. Like Juju Smith, Juju. If he's still there or not, I don't know if he's going to resign. He's probably the worst receiver on that team, bro.
Yeah, so we can't count out. We can't start picking winners of the divisions yet. We got to see what happens first because we don't know where he's going. We don't know. There's always a surprise every year. You never know who's going to come out of retirement or who's going to play or what's going to happen. But there could be a surprise, I feel, in Pittsburgh. I feel like Roethlisberger's not playing there anymore, and I feel like there's going to be a surprise choice next year.
They have to move on, dude.
He looked so washed up.
Yeah.
All he could do.
You know what he looked like? He looked like your 45-year-old uncle who just got done eating Thanksgiving dinner and out there throwing the ball and probably played quarterback back in 1968.
Hey, he can throw a football a quarter mile.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah.
The back when the backup played this year, that one game. Mason
Duck
Rudolph,
Hodges? Oh yeah.
He was throwing the ball way further down the field than Roethlisberger was.
I think his average pass was 4 yards a pass or something like that.
He's done. So we'll talk about that in just 1 minute. We're not going to skip out on the Baltimore Ravens. Nate Durant, you're still in here, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, so let me get started when I'm starting to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. They went 11-5. They beat the Tennessee Titans in the wild card round 20-13, and then went on to lose to Buffalo 17-3. When you look at that game, they clearly had a game plan to go against Lamar Jackson. They locked him down. They had a QB spy every single play, sometimes 2. Now, Durant, when you're looking at your team, the Ravens, do you honestly feel Lamar Jackson is the long-term answer at quarterback? Or do you feel like he has only a few to a handful of years to get it done before his speed starts to diminish? And he's not the best thrower in the league. His stats might say otherwise, but when you're watching the game, you know his first instinct, he's Michael Vick. He wants to run. He doesn't want to throw. When he throws, he's okay. Average at best. Overthrows receivers, late on his progressions.
It's not Michael Vick. Go ahead.
Still, though, I don't know. But anyways, okay, fine. So Durant, when you look at this, let's start with Lamar. When you're looking at him, he has a 1,000-yard rusher. He threw for 2,700 yards, which is not good at all. 64% completion percentage is good, but you got to understand the throws and the reads he was having were easy, like college type, throwing to open receivers. He had 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, sacked 29 times through 15 games. He had a 99 passer rating. But when you're watching the games and you're watching the tape, it shows that he's an average to below average passer. You know it is. Maybe you have a different opinion on this. But do you think he is the long term answer, or what do you think when you look at Lamar Jackson?
When I look at Lamar Jackson, I see a person who hesitates to throw.
Right, that he wants to run first.
Yeah, the man does not want to throw the ball. If you look at some of the tapes throughout the season, you'll notice that there are receivers wide open, but he only looks for Mark Andrews or Hollywood Brown, even if they're covered.
Because those are usually his first two reads, and he's having trouble getting to his third progression because by the time he makes it to his sometimes second read, he's already running.
Yeah, he's
Exactly. His only instinct is to run.
Now, is that going to sustain itself all like throughout his career? Aren't you worried that he's not going to play long term that way? Like Michael Vick did, he went to prison for a while, so he missed out on a few years. And then he even sat really and only played Wildcat plays his first year back. So he had time off in between his length of to play at the age that he did. I honestly believe if he never went to prison, he wouldn't have played as long as he did, as age-wise. That's just my opinion, though. But,
I see. That's what I think. To me, Lamar Jackson's more like Robert Griffin, man. Like it's like, oh, this kid's amazing. But RG3 lit the league on fire his rookie season, dude. Like, and it's just a quarterback like that, and he's small. He can't last, man. Look at Cam Newton. And Cam Newton's huge.
He's a big boy.
Cam Newton's broken down because of how much he got hit, dude. And Lamar Jackson is lucky to be half the size of Cam Newton. Now, I will say this. I like Lamar Jackson. I like mobile quarterbacks. I always have. That's who I am. He needs an elite receiver, tight end, someone like he needs like a George Kittle, a Travis Kelce, a Mike Evans. He needs someone that can move the chains for him, man. Like he doesn't have that.
That's what I was just gonna say. Name me a receiver he's ever had to throw to.
Mark Andrews isn't a bad tight end, though.
No, not a bad tight end, but that's one guy.
I mean, but Dave, he's not elite. That's not like Kelce, Gronk back in his day, Kittle. He's not elite, bro. He's good. You're right. He's above average. He's a damn good tight end, but he's not an elite tight end. Like he doesn't have anybody elite on that to throw the ball to.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a tight end that I could compare him to. Now, I would compare Mark Andrews to Greg Olsen in Carolina, not like after the down of his prime. Like he got to his prime, and then as he was coming down, I think that's his level. That's Mark Andrews right there.
And like your buddy said, they know that he's looking for these guys. They know that that's his 1-2, and then you spy him, it's over with. I mean,
right. So do you think they're one elite receiver away, or because this isn't a passing quarterback? My eyes is you need what you said. You need an elite tight end and an elite wide receiver.
They need Chris Godwin in the slot. That would be amazing for him.
So if they could get Chris Godwin and Hunter Henry,
yeah, that'd be a big step up, dude. Big step up.
Love that move
because they're both free agents.
They got to get him some
help. I would absolutely love it.
Defense is ready.
They're set at running back. I mean,
right.
I mean, that's
well, Mark Ingram's gone and Gus Bus.
Say that. He under contract this year?
No, he's gone.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, it's J.K. Dobbins time from Ohio State, baby. Let's go.
That's at the end of last year. That's what it was J.K. Dobbins. He took over the role and ran with it.
Lamar Jackson led that team in rushing attempts with 159. The next one was crazy. Gus at 144, then J.K. at 134.
And I'll go on the record as saying I don't think a team will ever win the Super Bowl when the quarterback is leading their team in rushing attempts. I didn't say yards. I said attempts.
Well, he led in yards and attempts. He had 200 yards more than J.K.
I could see a quarterback
200 on the dot.
But you can't be running that many times.
Here's my assessment on this. They have to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, or you have to cut down those attempts in half. Because if you want to sustain your career and you want to have a chance to win the Super Bowl later on in your career, you can't be running it 160 times a year. That's backup running back numbers for attempts.
Just go ask the backup quarterback RG3 what it's like to do that, and ask him what it does to you, dude. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson's better than RG3. Don't get me wrong, but like we're all saying here, you can't keep taking this beating, dude. You're not in Louisville anymore. You're in the NFL. These boys, they're not going to eat up on you. They want to hurt you, bro. They want to take you out of the game. They want to make you lose money. They want to get paid more money. They don't care about you. Like, you got to be careful, man. This is a real man's game. You're not in college no more. These guys are going to light your ass up.
Right,
It's
exactly.
not just the hits. I mean, look at the speed factor too. You're not outrunning every running back when you're in the NFL like you did in college. So they're going to get you, like you said.
Right, exactly. So, looking at the Ravens, Durant, do you feel like they're a Super Bowl contender right now as they are?
No.
And do you
Not
honestly
at all.
do they only have to make moves on offense, or do they have to make moves elsewhere as well?
Oh, we have to make moves on defense as well. We need a true pass rusher.
That wouldn't hurt. J.J. Watt is out there.
I would love to bring J.J. Watt.
That wouldn't be bad with the Ravens. Like I said, if they could pick up those two pieces we talked about, Godwin and Hunter Henry, and then maybe we're talking about J.J. Watt going a lot of places, but if they got J.J. Watt as well, that would be a great offseason for the Ravens to start. And
would.
A lot of people would pick them to win the division immediately because I feel like the Browns are not going to add any more big pieces.
Yes, they are, man. They're going to trade OBJ, and they're going to get something for him, dude.
But do you think that they're going to add someone to the capital of OBJ, like the name, like the receiver type?
Oh,
like, are you
no.
are you think they're going to add?
Like an
Like,
immediate.
oh my
impact.
God! Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right,
if
no.
the Ravens
Yeah.
can pick up Godwin, Henry, and Watt, like the Browns are not picking up any of those three people. Like even Hunter Henry, I feel like Hunter Henry is better than Austin Hooper. That's
for
just how I feel. So I feel like the Browns are not going to add anything. We're like, oh, okay, Browns are okay, Browns are serious, but there's a lot of receivers out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Juju went to the Browns. I wouldn't be surprised if they would start looking at someone. They already have Landry, so they don't want Godwin. But there's an Allen Robinson that could trade OBJ, sign Allen Robinson. I just don't think the Browns are going to do that. I think they're going to stay with what they are and try to build more around Baker Mayfield other ways. Maybe add even another tight end and get more depth, or maybe add more on that defense in the secondary because they were hurting there. So there's a lot that the Browns can do, but
Do you think that Baker Mayfield has done enough to get a payday? Not
yet.
Obviously not a $35 million year.
this is the year. We'll see. This will
You
be
don't
it.
think that?
No, I think I'll give them 25. But we'll
Okay, so what if they win 11 games this year, make the playoffs, win a playoff game, get to the say to get to the AFC title?
I'll give them 33.
Okay,
And then we'll put guarantees around about a half of the contract.
right. He's got to stay in his own. He's got to remember what led him to success this year.
Right.
And next year, not get all. Oh, I'm the number one pick. I'm still at Oklahoma. I'm going to sling this football around the yard like it's nothing. No, you can't do that,
Right.
buddy. You learn that. As long as you stay humbled, you're going to be all right, man. Let that defense and those running backs carry you.
Right. So the winner of that division, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they went 12-4. They won AFC North. They lost to Cleveland 37-48. The Little Brothers in the wild card round. Big Ben looked horrific. He looked so bad. Looked like someone that was never going to play another down and should have
Threw
quit
the
2
ball
years ago.
8 times.
Yeah.
68 times. That's
Yeah.
for any quarterback to throw, let alone a man that's 41, 40?
Yeah, he's close. And it was ridiculous because he didn't get 4,000 yards. He only played 15 games. He could have gotten 4,000 yards. So he didn't look bad much in the regular season. But when he got to that playoff game, it was just evident that he had mailed it in. He was out of shape. He wasn't making all of his reads. He was just not getting the time too sometimes. But it was sad to see, to be honest, because it looks like he was doing well in the regular season, but they were beating up a lot of bad teams. So it's sad to see a quarterback of his caliber look that bad in the playoffs, and they fell horribly. And even the score, they had 37 points. It might as well have been 7 points because they weren't even close. It was awful. And their leading rushers were subpar. James Conner, he only had 720 yards. Benny Snell, 360 yards.
What you just said right there, to me, was the biggest difference I saw in the Steelers this year. They had absolutely no run game, and Ben Roethlisberger literally had to do everything to win games, and he can't do that. Like, that's never been his
no
game.
Le'Veon, no Antonio. He really missed them.
That's never been his game to go out and win a game. He's had Le'Veon Bell back there.
And even Connor a couple years ago was a the first year Bell was gone. Connor filled in nicely, bro. They've always had a running game. Always. When they went to the Super Bowl, they have defense and running. And Roethlisberger will make a few good throws here. He's not going to ruin the game for you. But this year, their running game was horrendous, dude. They need to figure that out right away. And Roethlisberger can't be their starting quarterback next year. And like you said, it's sad. You know what? He's been a good quarterback, dude. He's won Super Bowls. I don't necessarily like the guy. Do not like him. I said, it's whatever. Ben Roethlisberger, he deserves to, go out the right way. They just need to tell him, hey, look, we can't do this. You're holding us back. And he needs to realize that he is holding that team back. And if he cares about that franchise, that he should just go ahead and walk away and let them figure out what they're going to do from here on out. Because they got to replace him quick.
Yeah, he's got to get out of there. And their wide receivers are stellar. Deontay Johnson with 88 receptions. Claypool with 62 receptions. Juju with 97 receptions. Eric Ebron, 56 receptions. James Washington, a.k.a. Sir Drops a Lot. He had 30 receptions. I mean, they're
quarterback being subpar all year.
Right. So, and if you can give that team to Deshaun Watson, yeah.
Yeah, their defense is still very solid. So yeah,
it's not going to be. It's not going to be good for the rest of the league, in my opinion.
No,
but I think they're on the downhill turn. They're not going to be looking good in the oncoming future. We'll see what they do at quarterback. As of right now, it's not looking good for them. They don't have an answer at quarterback because Big Ben's really, really bad. Go ahead and bring him back. You're not going to do much with him. You did win a lot of games this year, but you're playing a first-place schedule next year, and you got exposed horribly by the Cleveland Browns. Say it again. You got exposed horribly by the Cleveland Browns.
I called it leading up to the playoffs, the last 3 weeks of the podcast. I said that Pittsburgh was one and done because they couldn't run the ball, dude. I said it was over, and everybody knew that.
The Jets beat the Browns. Why can't you? Moving on to the NFC North. We just did the AFC North. We will do another divisional episode for every team and division in the summertime. We're going to do it post-free agency, post-draft. Everything's settled. All the rosters are set. And once we get closer to camp, we're going to do another divisional episode for every division and team for the upcoming season. This is just a review of the season and kind of an outlook coming up in the draft and the free agency and upcoming season. But after we get everything in place and settled, we will discuss all these teams again in depth again. I'm talking about what has happened and what they really look like. The schedules will be out. We'll have so much more information, and it'll be a totally different type of episode. We're doing more of a review, not a preview. Little preview. But looking at the Detroit Lions, they did make us a stellar trade.
Yeah.
They got Jared Goff, baby. Everyone's ready for some Goff? Ready to go off for Goff? Are you ready? You guys ready for some Jared Goff? Just looking at his yards, he almost had 4,000 yards. 3,952 yards. He had 67% completion percentage. 20 touchdowns, 13 picks. You don't like to see that. He was only sacked 23 times in 15 games, which is amazing. He had a lot of quick throws, though. Averaged 270 yards a game and averaged 7.2 yards a throw. That's, when you're looking at the yards, that's what you want. You want the yards. You want the sacks. The 23. That's pretty low. But 20 touchdowns and 13 picks, that's Sam Darnold numbers. That's not good. That's not what you like to see. And what the Lions are used to the last 11, 12 years are 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. So it's going to be a different type of offense going in with the kneecaps when everyone's getting them bit off in Detroit. But it's when you guys look at this, if I'm Kenny Galladay, I'm gone. Free agent.
He's gone.
If I'm Marvin Jones, I'm already gone. He's a free agent.
Dude, if I'm anybody, who wants to play for the Lions, dude? Like that. What I said, Dave, the last 2 months. That is probably the worst franchise in the NFL.
If you were a free agent and you had to choose, and you're getting the same contract, same playing time between the Texans, Texans, and the Lions. No Watson on the Texans.
Texans for one reason and one reason only, because I won't be paying state taxes on my contract, and that's the only fucking
No
reason.
state taxes, and it's warmer.
That's the only reason, because both of them, you're right. That's the two worst franchises in football.
Yeah, that would be
Now,
a rough decision.
Houston hasn't been around long, but obviously very long. Now Detroit's been doing this for years. We've seen this since Barry Sanders, Dave.
Yeah, decades.
Right? They're horrible franchise.
No,
Horrible
it's awful. So Adrian Peterson was your best running back, 156 attempts, followed by DeAndre Swift with 114, and Kerryon Johnson only had 52 attempts. That's not what you're looking for from any of your starting running backs. You want 200 plus minimum if they're that guy.
How many seasons has Matt Stafford been a quarterback?
Since 2009.
So how many seasons is that? Do you know? Like, that's like
11,
10, 11?
12.
Okay. So 11 years, 16 games a year. That's like what, 100 and that's like over 200 games, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. In over 200 starting games, Matthew Stafford had a 100-yard rusher 16 times. 1-6 out of over 200.
It's like 172 games.
Okay,
or 176 games at most.
So out of 176 games, he had a 100-yard rusher 16 times, bro. That's brutal.
And he went like a whole season, I believe, without one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's horrible.
And then they went years without
no
a 1,000-yard
receiver
rusher.
And they didn't know how to draft either. I mean, they kept drafting wide receivers.
Yeah.
Well, they hit on Calvin Johnson, but that was about it.
Right, but I'm saying they had him,
Yeah,
and they
but
kept
who
drafting
wouldn't?
more wide receivers.
Right.
Right.
And here's the when you don't have a running game like that, so the defense knows. So you have no play action game, and play action is huge in the NFL now. Look what it did for that made Jared Goff in Los Angeles. He's not going to have that in Detroit. I think it's gonna. Oh man, he's gonna have a bad year, dude.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
So the future for Detroit is not bright, and especially when no one's gonna have kneecaps, it's really gonna be gloomy there. It's bad all around in Detroit, and Dan Campbell's got he's got a 6-year deal for a reason. He's got a lot of work to do, and they're not gonna be good for at least 2 to 3 years. That's if everything goes good for them. So you might as well just mark them off for any playoff contention for probably the next 5 years minimum.
Dude, at least.
At least. So
Jared Goff, answer.
Oh hell no. He's got a year or two and he's out of there. So
Not like Jared Goff's so I don't know, just it's not he's so bad, but the way the system was set up for the Rams with that run game and a lot of the play action and the receivers they had, you don't have any of that in Detroit, man. None of it. It's all gone. You have nothing.
right.
The only thing they have in Detroit is a halfway decent tight end. That's it.
Right. Yeah, no, and I don't know. I have no hope for that franchise. None. And I'm happy that the Jets are not being looked at as the worst anymore.
Dude, I've never thought that. Just because you have a couple bad years like they did, that doesn't make you a horrible
Because of
franchise.
bad coach.
They don't treat their players horrible. You don't have everybody saying how I can't go there. Get me out of here. Players
Except for
could've
Jamal Adams. It was just Gase.
hiring. I mean,
Yeah, it was just Gase, really. So, moving on in the NFC North. Robert, I hope you're still here. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, baby. 7-9. They didn't even make it to 500. Robert, you still in here? I don't even know. I think he might have left his. I think he left his. Nope, he's not in. I think he's coming back in. Hold on.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Okay.
now. Awesome. Okay. I heard you have a lot to say, so real quick, I'm going to run through a few stats. Kirk Cousins actually didn't have a bad year. He had 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He was sacked 39 times in all 16 games. He had a passer rating of 105. Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison led the way with 2,500. 2,000 yards rushing, 1,500 of them going to Dalvin Cook. They're having about 18 touchdowns between the two, with 16 of them going to Dalvin Cook. Looking at the receivers, they hit on. Let's play a little quiz here. A little trivia. Who had more targets, Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen?
Jefferson.
Yeah, it has to be Jefferson.
Yep, 125 to 108.
Dude, he's the real deal. That kid's good. I like him a lot.
But Adam Thielen had twice as many touchdowns, but 500 less yards than
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson.
The thing is, Justin Jefferson, he's like a one of a kind. You can trust him like going down the field. But Adam Thielen, he's great.
So why isn't Justin Jefferson getting these touchdowns like Adam Thielen is? Is it because Adam Thielen had the starting cornerback on Justin Jefferson, or what's the reason? If I'm the Vikings or a Vikings fan, I want Justin Jefferson in the double digits because that's an elite top 5 receiver in the league. If you double those touchdowns, 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns.
You know what's
Here's
scary?
a stat for you, Dave. Think about this. When you're in the red zone, there's a lot less room to run and separation. Thielen's been in the league many years. Jefferson's a rookie. I think that's the big difference is Thielen knows how to work the end zone.
Yeah, you know, run routes better, get open. And you're right. And that's probably going to change with time. I think Jefferson is going to take that team over for sure as the number 1 receiver. But you know what's really scary about him is he wasn't even the best receiver on his college. Like, that's what's scary. Watch this guy coming out from LSU next year. He didn't even play college football last year.
Jamar Chase.
Yes, sir. Think everybody's talking about Devontae Smith. Look out for this other dude who didn't even play one snap of college football last year. I'm telling you, boys, he was better than Justin Jefferson in college. He was a monster in college.
Yeah, but it doesn't always equate to the NFL.
Okay.
Well,
No, so
no.
right. So when I'm looking at it, they have the receivers in place. If Thielen's going to start getting a little slower, maybe he's got one more in his year of his prime. Irv
That's the
Smith.
thing that's kind of grinding my gears right now. Most of the mock drafts either have Minnesota picking Devontae Smith at freaking 14, which I think would be a waste of a pick.
Well, why wouldn't you take him and then trade Thielen?
I don't see that.
You could re-up, get a cheaper contract. You have a younger wide receiver. You could trade Thielen for a second-round pick easily, and then you can get another position. You know, you took one and you got better, and with a freak, you have the potential to have 2 of the top 10 receivers in the league eventually in 2 to 3 years.
Right, that's what I was going to say, and have a chance to have 2 top 10 receivers. Like, you took the words right out of my mouth, Dave. I was literally just going to.
And then you trade him and you get a second-round pick, and then you pick up, a defensive player or a pass rusher or.
How old is Thielen?
Adam Thielen's, I think he just turned 30 or 31 this year.
Yeah, dude. If you could get Devontae Smith, trade Thielen?
Yeah, trade Thielen or even keep Thielen for the year. You have all 3 of them. So then you have like the best wide receiver compilation.
But see, I don't know if Minnesota would do that. They're like Dalvin Cook to me is a top 2. I mean, he's top 3 for sure. Maybe even a top 2 running back in the league right now, dude. Dalvin Cook's a monster. So I don't know if they would need that many receivers. Like that to me, I don't see.
That'd be a waste of a pick. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I agree with you. Mike Zimmer is a run first head coach. He's an old school type of coach. He's still running plays from like 1990s.
Yeah, but don't you want to get the receiver now instead of later? Pick it up a year early instead of a year late?
Dude, you have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but you could continue it with the 2 elite receivers.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be bad, but I feel like there'd be like Minnesota is the type of team that would like pick up like wide receivers. They always pick up the diamond of the dozen, like diamond in the rough type players. Like,
so who do you want them to pick up in the first round?
Honestly, in the first round, I want them to pick up either a defensive tackle or like an offensive lineman. I haven't done any scouting on the lines this year in the trenches, but that's my main priority because the offensive line is atrocious. Kirk Cousins was getting pressured up the ass almost every game, even against teams that had no
pass rush. He got sacked 39 times in 16 games. That's over 2 times a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. That's not good. It's not awful, but that's not good. You don't want your quarterback getting him. He maybe had a lot more QB hits. Kirk Cousins didn't look like he was the issue. Dalvin Cook didn't look like he was the issue, and Justin Jefferson didn't look like he was the issue. So
the issue
what's the issue?
The issue this year was the defense because we lost all our starters. Well, basically most of our starters due to free agency, injuries, or they opted out. They were supposed to have Michael Pierce that was freshly out of
out of what? Did you lose connection? Is this technical difficulty? Out of what?
Hey, yeah, hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. What? Out of what?
They lost. They lost like Michael Pierce because he opted out. They lost Everson Griffin, which was the mouth of the defense.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'll give you that. That guy's a monster.
They lost. They lost Linval Joseph, which was the key person that, stopping the run. They lost Anthony Barr due to injury. Mid-season, they lost Eric Kendricks, and then they had no corners, nothing but fresh.
Didn't they pick up Campbell and trade him?
Yeah.
Yes.
But he wasn't
That
really.
made no sense to me.
Yeah.
That made sense to me because he's good.
You guys let the Chicago Bears win more games than you guys and go to the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, I know. That was the most disappointing thing I ever watched.
Bears had a way better defense. Way better,
That's
hands
the thing I was
down.
gonna say. Like Minnesota was known for their defense this past, like for years and years, and this year it was just one of the most disappointing things I ever seen my whole entire life.
Yeah.
They're usually
Bears going to the playoffs had nothing to do with Michael Trubisky. Or
Nope.
Mitchell Trubisky, I'm sorry. It had to do with their defense.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
And like I said, the only two returning starters they had was their two safeties, basically, throughout the whole entire season. I played throughout the whole entire season. And plus, he also had Daniil Hunter that had that neck injury and was out almost the whole entire season. That's what pissed me off about the Minnesota Vikings. And the worst part is Mike Zimmer didn't do any adjustments at all. He tried to say he believes in the rookie corners, which I think that was a smart move to give him more experience. But like, we needed signings. We need to do like veteran minimums at least.
So when you look at free agency coming up for Minnesota, what is the priority immediately? Cornerback, offensive line, pass rusher. Would you do if you're the GM?
If I was the GM, what I would do first is I would honestly pick up another like defensive tackle, nose tackle. You can't just trust one guy that's just coming back from like opting out one season because you don't know what he's going to be like. You need someone that's just freshly out.
Right.
And
Right.
then what I would do is I would try my best to free up the cap space, get rid of some of the offensive linemen that was just atrocious.
Well, you're going to have to replace him then.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a couple. Is there like a couple good free agency?
Joe
offensive linemen
Tooney.
coming out.
Joe Tooney's going to be the highest paid player possibly in free agency. He's a guard in New England.
Exactly. I mean, right now, Minnesota needs guards, and they need right now they need like a left guard. The left guard was horrible, and then
That's Tooney right there. So if the Vikings can get these pieces that you're talking about, where can you see this team going? Can you honestly see them going deep into the playoffs and even possibly a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins?
That's the thing. Like,
No.
that's the thing. Like, it's hard to trust Kirk Cousins. He can put up the numbers, but when you see those numbers, most of them are in the fourth quarter, when Minnesota's down by like 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah. Garbage time stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like Kirk has a potential to win some playoff games. Can he win the Super Bowl? Probably not. But that remains to be seen.
A couple years ago, he did prove the doubters wrong. That he can go into the most like dangerous environment, aka New Orleans, and they upset the New Orleans Saints.
They did.
So I think Kirk Cousins can do that. You just have to find him. He needs to be in that good state.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the Vikings they should and always be the second best team in that division until Aaron Rodgers retires. And then even it just depends because Chicago can be the best team in that division if they had a quarterback even remotely close to Aaron Rodgers. Because
of course,
their defense is already ready for Super Bowl contention. Like,
right.
Other than that, they could work on, getting Allen Robinson back, which we're sliding into the Chicago Bears. They went 8-8 last year, lost to the New Orleans Saints in the wild card round 9-21. They played quarterback, musical chairs. Reading the stats next to each other. Trubisky, 199 completions. Foles, 202. Completion percentage, Trubisky, 67. Foles, 64.
Mhm.
Yards, Trubisky, 2,055. Foles, 1,855. Touchdowns, Trubisky, 16 with 8 picks. Foles, 10 with 8 picks. The difference
Right.
also on top of that is Trubisky's a better rusher. 33 attempts, 195 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Foles had a touchdown on the ground, I believe, as well, but he wasn't the threat to run that Trubisky was. So, Rick, this is your team. This is the team that you grew up watching. When I'm looking at the Bears' stats, Montgomery picked it up towards the end of the year. Whatever reason it didn't happen at the beginning of the year, it started happening towards the end of the year. Outside of that, they have no running. They have Cordell Patterson. They need, obviously, to beef up that running back group. And then they also lost Allen Robinson. So now they're down to Mooney, Miller, and Kmet, and Patterson. And Montgomery, I guess, for receiving. But Robinson's 102 catches with Trubisky and Foles. Can you imagine what he would do with another team? But
Oh, absolutely.
1,250 yards, you either have to overpay for him or hope that Anthony Miller and Darnell Mooney can produce into Allen Robinson. I don't think that's the case. The Chicago Bears have a lot of work to do. So if you were the GM of the Bears, what would be the first thing that you got? Quarterback that you can change up, the running back you need to change up and add to, and the wide receivers you need to change up and add to. What would be the first thing you do?
The first thing you got to address the quarterback situation, because if you have no quarterback, it doesn't matter who your receivers are. So
Who are you getting?
you've got to do something. I've heard rumors they're going to try to get Darnold. I'm not sure what all that involves, but that's what I've heard lately, that they're going after him, which, I mean, like I said, compared to what we've had the past couple years, it would be an upgrade for us. Number two, you can franchise tag Robinson still. So if they have to, that's what they're going to do. You can't afford to lose him. That's not. There's just
You're
no
only
way.
paying them $16 million, maybe even
They
$18
could.
million.
They might.
No, that's what the franchise tag would be worth.
Right. I think he's worth that, though.
He is.
Like you said, if they lose him, look at the receiving core. It's a second-year guy who, yeah, I think he has a lot of potential. There were times Foles and Trubisky overthrew him by 5 yards, and he was beating the guy by 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have had an accurate quarterback last year, that guy probably could have been in contention for Rookie of the Year. He is a good receiver. I'm telling you, yeah, one game he caught 12 passes. He's got the potential.
He's got 151 targets. Robinson with 100 catches. He had 50 balls that either went over his head to the side of him or quote unquote, on the ground.
Like you said, with a good quarterback, look what he would have done. I mean, some of those throws that he was trying to catch were impossible to catch. I don't care who you are. Montgomery, I think, is a solid back. They're also going to get Tyreek Cohen back, which I know is not really a running back, but he offsets things. You have to watch for him on defense. So he does affect the running game a little bit, but you do need a solid second running back for sure. And then Clement, I think, is going to be a good tight end. You just got to give him time. I mean, he's a second-year guy.
Yeah, 28 catches, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's bad. I mean, I think he'll be serviceable.
You have to give him opportunities, man.
Absolutely.
They
were playing Jimmy Graham too much, man. That was a horrible signing. Horrible signing.
Like, Komet, you draft him so high, and then he hardly. How many targets did he have? Like, not a lot.
44.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. And why draft a guy that high if you're not going to see what he's got? What's the point?
Right, exactly. I did hear something on ESPN today that J.J. Watt's wife does play for the Professional Women's Soccer League in Chicago, and she's tweeting out that she wants J.J. to come to Chicago.
That would be just overkill. Why do you need that many defensive players? Why are you going to pay him? There's no reason for that.
Because Watt's not a 3-down lineman anymore.
Yeah, he's not.
Bottom line, he's not. But I'll tell you what Watt is. You bring him in on 3rd and long, 2nd and long, when he can pin those ears back and get at the quarterback. Him, Mack, Quinn.
Think about it. They double or triple team Mack every passing down. If you have J.J. Watt lined up anywhere on that line, you can't do that because Watt's still going to get you if you play him one-on-one. He's still going to get to the quarterback. Might not sack him, but he's going to pressure the hell out of him. So I think number one for the Bears, you got to do something with quarterback. Decide I mean, you got to do it quick too. I mean, if you're going to bring back Trubisky, then bring him back and let's get a game plan, because you can't get a game plan without the quarterback. That's the first priority for the Bears.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got to take care of the quarterback position. I would get rid of Trubisky and Foles. What say you?
Oh, I definitely would. I mean, but you also got to. I mean, you got to have a plan on what's out there. You got to have someone to run your team. I mean, that's the only thing I'm saying is they've got to do that quick. You know what I mean? So they can have a game plan and have a direction. Right now, they have no direction because they don't know what style quarterback they're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they can give up the second round pick to maybe bring in Darnold, I mean, it can't be worse than Trubisky.
No, that's what I said. I mean, and at least you have a direction. That's what they have to do. They have to solidify the quarterback position before they have a game plan.
Hey, as the old saying goes, and rest in peace, John Madden. If you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Right, exactly. They've got that's their number one priority. Their only priority right now is to solidify a quarterback.
Your team knows they can rally around. Okay, this guy's going to be our leader. You don't want to know, like, oh, this week this quarter it's Foles, the next quarter it's Trubisky, and I mean, you can't do that. No camaraderie. You can't build no rapport. You need a leader in the huddle and a leader on the field. Nick Foles, Mitchell Trubisky are not that. Nick Foles had it that 1 year. He had that magic 1 year in the playoffs, that run. He had a great run in the playoffs that year for Philadelphia. Probably one of the best runs we'll ever see someone like that make. It was great for who he is and how his career's been ever since then and before then, all over the place. He played amazing for 4 games. And
that's why he's still in the league, is because of that time.
But he's not a leader of men. He's not going to come in and take command of a locker room like, a Tom Brady does, or, a good veteran quarterback. Like, you need someone like that can go in there and guys look him in the eyes and they trust him and they know he's going to lead them. And if they have to put the game on his shoulders, he's going to be able to win the game for him in the end. Bears have never had that, ever.
As I'm looking, I know it's not exactly what you're talking about, but kind of moving into the Packers, Allen Robinson and Devontae Adams' stats are not that far off.
That's what I'm saying. Could you imagine Robinson with Rodgers, dude?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And look at the quarterback comparison. And Robinson's stats match with almost anybody's in the league. And look at his quarterback compared to the quarterbacks who are throwing the balls to these other top receivers.
I'm not going to lie. I think Allen Robinson's better than Devontae Adams.
I can't go that far, bro.
I don't know, man. You should.
He had 1,250 yards with Trubisky and Foles.
I don't care. Look at how many touchdowns Devontae Adams scored last year and how many games he played.
He had 48 touchdowns coming from Rodgers. 48 to 26 with the Bears. Add another 22 touchdowns to the Bears, and Allen Robinson's catching at least 10 of them? He'd be at 16 touchdowns.
How old Allen Robinson?
I think he's 28.
I'm about to find out.
Allen Robinson is 27 years old.
Pretty damn close.
He'll be 28. He'll be 28 in August.
I thought he was older than that. I thought he was like 30.
You got to remember, he missed a year and a half with his injury too.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
1,700 yards when he played for Jacksonville.
Right now,
a monster.
Right now is his prime age to get a payday somewhere too, man.
Yep, and he's a free agent unless the Bears tag him. So
if they do, but next year he'll get paid, bro.
Either way, I still think it's close, and I think if you replace.
I think you have a great point. I think he's just as good as any receiver in the league. Look at who's throwing the ball to these guys. Aaron Rodgers or Mitchell Trubisky. Come on, man. It's not even close.
Yeah, and he did good in Jacksonville, Blake Bortles, too, so let's not forget that before he tore his ACL.
Yeah, didn't he have 1,500 yards or something in Jacksonville?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, looking at moving on from Chicago, their future, if they can change, their whole offense just needs redone. I mean, even offensive line could use a little help. Like the whole offense needs retooled.
Their tackles are horrible.
It just seems like a never-ending problem for Chicago. Fix the offense. So, and Green Bay on the other hand, it's not their problem with the offense. It's the defense with the issue. But they went 13-3. They beat the Rams 32-18 in the divisional round. They lost to the Buccaneers 26-31 in the NFC Championship. Go figure, they always lose in the NFC Championship. Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a season, 4,300 yards, 48 touchdowns, 5 picks, ridiculous touchdown-interception ratio. Just
MVP.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and MVP. Their running backs had a stable of them, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon. They totaled for about 2,000 yards, and they totaled for 13 touchdowns. Now,
Hey, how about
Aaron
you read
Rodgers?
all those? Go ahead. Dave.
No, what were you saying?
You read all those numbers for Aaron Rodgers, the amazing season he had, and then Matt LaFleur takes the game out of his hands on 4th and goal.
Right.
Yeah, horrible.
With the Super Bowl on the line, you taking the ball out of this man's hands. I look, I'm not a Packers fan, can't stand him, but how do you do that, man? Like that just
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. And
you can't for the Super Bowl, you can't play a game, you can't coach a game to not lose. You got to coach a game to win, man. Bottom line, coach a game to win. You're going to the Super Bowl. You might not get back there. Yeah, you've done it 2 years in a row. LaFleur, it's not easy to go to the NFC Championship every year. Don't think it is, buddy. Because as soon as Aaron Rodgers is gone, you're done.
right.
I think Aaron Jones is gone too. I think he will leave in free agency.
So do I. I think
That's what-
and Jamal Williams is a free agent.
That's
Yeah,
what people feel like.
I think they're going to go to Dylan at running back.
Yeah,
Well, that's
because
what
did you know AJ Dillon and Derrick Henry are the same size?
Yeah, dude, you've been talking about AJ Dillon since preseason, bro, and how you love how big his legs are. And I know, Dave. Believe me, I know.
Remember, Derrick Henry did not start off that good.
No, he did not. No way.
So AJ Dillon could be coming into form, and he could be the next Derrick
What's-
Henry.
Well, it's only his second year, right? He was a rookie, wasn't he?
I think this is his first year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. This will be his
Yeah.
second year.
Yeah, it'll be his second year. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's plenty of time to develop.
yeah.
But I know they like him a lot. I know that.
Yeah, so the running backs there, it's going to be a question of who they pick up with A.J. Dillon. I can see them offering Aaron Jones like a 2-year, $18 million deal, 2-year, $20 million deal. I don't think they would do it long term.
Maybe they trade one of those running backs to the Bears for Robinson.
They don't have any running backs. It's just A.J. Dillon. Because Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are both free agents.
That's one thing. If the Packers do get any type of second receiver at all, they're going to win that division hands down again.
Yeah, and there's this is the year 4. I mean, could you imagine if Robinson just took a 1-year minimum just to get a
Oh, my
ring or
gosh.
try to get a ring?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Robinson and Devontae Adams on the same.
That's what I'm saying. If you had even a complimentary receiver like Juju Smith, even something like that.
That would be nasty. Packers typically don't do that. They don't go out spending a lot of money like that.
They've never
But
got
They're
any
not
really
ones to go
receivers,
do that.
honestly.
I think Rodgers could get in their ear though this year and be
Dude,
like,
they-
look,
after what happened last year, I guarantee you he's going to want a receiver this year. After they did that bullshit last year, took a quarterback.
3 years.
I know,
They
that's what I'm saying.
They drafted a
never.
running back last year instead of fucking giving him some help, dude. They don't care what that
Right.
man wants.
yeah, and a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Replacement.
stupidest thing, man.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers, you just led us to a 13-3 NFC championship, and we feel you might have been one piece away from getting us over the edge. But guess what? We're going to draft your backup and a running back instead. Piss off. That makes no sense.
A
to me,
third
dude.
string running
No.
back.
If I was Aaron Rodgers, I would want to be gone from there, dude.
I know. I don't get it. I would have demanded a trade a long time
Especially
ago.
after the game, dude. Especially if the NFC championship game, and you take the ball out of my hands, dude. That's it right there. That's final straw.
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah,
just
but he's
praised
not going
so much
anywhere,
there.
though. But I agree
right.
with you, but he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's just he's praised so much there and he loves that. He's worshipped.
Go anywhere,
Oh,
really, man.
he's God in Green Bay, man.
Yeah, he is got. He was just like there's a video of him driving or riding around on the back of a truck with a case of beer, like that.
Well, like I talked about last week, I mean, he's 1-4 in championship games. Green Bay doesn't care; they still love him. You know what I mean? A lot of quarterbacks, the town would say, "Hey, let's try something different." You're 1-4.
Not really. They weren't like that with Brett Favre.
Well,
He
the
wasn't
town-
winning for a while.
the
They
town's
still loved him.
yeah, because the town's still watching football in late January,
Right? Exactly.
so they're continuing to watch football a month longer than the average fan. So they're getting their fill and then some. And then it sucks that they're not getting the Super Bowl, but they're always on the cusp, and they always feel that gives them that hope the next year. So, any other fan, you would too if your teams consistently got to the second, third round of the playoffs and kept losing over and over again. You would always still have hope that you're always so close that it just takes an extra play or two, and your team will break that mold.
Yeah, tell that to Buffalo fans in the 90s.
Right.
After a while, I'm done. Like, dude, like, I don't even, like, I'd rather just not even make the playoffs and get my heart broken every year. I mean,
Right. So with Green Bay, they're going to be good again next year. We'll see what they do with those running backs. We'll see if they listen to Aaron Rodgers and get another wide receiver in the draft this time. If they draft another quarterback, oh my gosh, Twitter will have a heyday.
No, they're gonna draft Aaron Jones replacement. Sorry, Aaron. We gotta get Aaron Jones replacement. Man, sorry, we can't help you out this. But maybe next year.
We'll draft a couple of running backs and we'll see how it is. So. Oh, that's funny stuff. Hell no.
I know, dude. I just don't. I don't know.
Oh,
The disrespect, man. You think that has something to do with maybe because how they're owned, dude?
Probably because they're not owned by any owner.
They're owned publicly, right?
Yeah.
There's no guy that can be like, look, this is what we're doing. We're getting them help. I don't give a shit what you guys say.
Right.
If you don't like it, I'll fire you.
Right. Exactly.
The way that team's ran, maybe that, I don't know. I've never thought about that till literally the second we're having this conversation, but I've never thought about that till right now on air.
It could be. I mean, the president's making decisions, not the owner, so it's always something different. And then the GM's getting a lot of power more than they probably would, but it's just how they decided to go. But we're wrapping up this episode. Looks like Robert and Nathan got out of here, so I'm joined in still by Rick and Seth. He's on Twitter at SethReed620. Give him a follow, and please, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you know anyone that likes, I didn't even click through any of these graphics. That's funny. I'll have to get better on this. I really need someone to come do all this for me, so I can just talk. I don't have to worry about any of this. I need a producer, something like that. But it's whatever. I mean, I'm sure people didn't care anyways. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a subscribe. We're trying to get to over 30, and then we'll keep setting goals for 50, and then 100, and then we'll see what we can go from there. But we almost took us an hour and a half. But once again,
look, we all got a lot of friends on Facebook, and if you're our friends on Facebook, man, it takes 2 seconds to get on YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. Just help us out. Y'all ain't even gotta listen. Just subscribe for us.
Just get the subscribe, get us some downloads. I'm trying. We're averaging only like 15 to 20 downloads per episode. And my very first episode was like 70 downloads. So I need to get back to the 70 downloads and the 100 downloads and all that good stuff. So please tell your friends. Please continue to listen. Please jump on the platforms. Put it on auto download. You don't even have to listen like Seth just said. Get on the YouTube. Do the subscribe. Once again, thanks for everyone listening and Seth and Rick coming on tonight. We'll have further division episodes coming up this summer. Have a good night, everyone. Stay warm in the Midwest. And if you're in Texas, stay warm and be safe.
If you're in Texas, welcome to our life every 3 months of the year. So deal with it. Canceling basketball games because there's some snow and shit. What is that, bro?
Bro, it's not just that. They have no power, man.